Hello everyone, my name is Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am bringing you guys my A Court of Wings and Ruin reading vlog, and of course this is by Sarah J. Maas. This is book 3 in her A Court of Thorns and Roses trilogy, but as far as I know, I think the series as a whole is kind of being expanded, maybe into a second trilogy. I don't really know too much about that, but as far as we know, this is the end of the series so far. And then of course there's the novella A Court of Frost and Starlight, which nobody likes, so I'm not even going to bother reading that. So I have done reading vlogs for the other 2 books in this series. I will link that playlist up in the cards above. And as of right now, I am on page 99, so I'm almost 100 pages in. And this copy that I have has 699 pages exactly. So I think I'm about like 14% of the way through. Also, I did want to say that this reading vlog is going to be completely spoiler free. All of my reading vlogs for this series, as well as the reading vlog series I did for the Throne of Glass books, those are also spoiler free. Because in case you are interested in reading these books and you haven't yet, I definitely don't want to spoil anything about the plot for you guys. I do discuss characters and their relationships with one another and just kind of general things about what's happening in these books, but yeah, I do not delve into any like detailed plot synopses or anything like that. So yeah, I'm about 100 pages in right now. I don't really have a strong opinion about anything, except I will say that I love that from page 1, this book is just showing us how incredibly smart and cunning and manipulative Feyre can be. We did see that a bit in A Court of Mist and Fury, but this book, I mean, from page 1, from the get-go, we are just seeing how amazing Feyre is. And I will say, you know, I didn't really love her character in the first book, and I was growing to like her character more and more in the second book, but now going into this third book, I think I'm pretty much sold on Feyre. I like her character a lot. I mean, she's not my favorite Sarah J. Maas character ever, but I do think that, you know, she's a solid heroine, a solid protagonist. So yeah, I think what I'm gonna do is just read more of this book, and I'll probably have like more detailed thoughts as I keep reading. So yeah, with that being said, I will talk to you guys at some point tomorrow. So it is Friday. I just didn't feel the need to update you guys at all yesterday, so there's that. And also this update's gonna be a little different because I actually didn't even type out any like specific notes on my phone, because I really don't have anything like specific that's happened so far to react to or discuss. I'm already like halfway through the book. I'm on page 335. That is chapter 33, and that is pretty much in the middle. And the only reason why I've been able to fly through this book so fast is because I was finally able to get the audiobook for this off of Libby, and on Libby you can play audiobooks up to 3 times speed, and I've been listening to this book at 3 times speed. That's how I was able to like speed through over 200 pages yesterday. I will say I'm really enjoying this book so far. I did kind of go into this with low expectations just because everybody raves and raves about ACOWAR, which was the second book, and I did really love that. I gave it 5 stars. But I feel like people who even love this series were disappointed by this book, and I'm wondering if it's something that's going to happen towards the end of the book. I'm also finding the political aspects of this book to be very interesting, because we're seeing that Rhysand, Feyre, and the rest of the Inner Circle, they are trying to negotiate with the High Lords from all the other courts, because they realize that if Prythian is not a united front, there's no way they're going to win this war from Hybern, especially because Hybern has allies that are from the main continent that could definitely outnumber all of Prithian's forces. And so I'm finding all of those negotiations and the strategizing to be really interesting, and it's surprisingly easy for me to understand. That's one thing about fantasy novels for me, especially novels that are completely centered around a war. Sometimes it's hard for me to understand the strategizing and what exactly is going on, which is probably one of the main reasons I kind of stay away from adult fantasy, because it just, I don't know, it just seems too complicated for me. I read The Priory of the Orange Tree in like September of 2019, and I think that was also kind of a war book, and I remember definitely being confused. So since then I've kind of like stayed away from adult fantasy. What I really like about this final book is that it's not completely centering around war the entire time. You know, with Kingdom of Ash, which was the last book in Throne of Glass series, that book was like 80 to 90% a war book. They were on the battlefields, they were strategizing, you know, but at the same time it was a very grueling book because it was completely centered around that war. Whereas in this book, like I said, I'm halfway through and we haven't officially started any war yet, and I actually really enjoy that, because war books aren't the most interesting to me, and like I said, they can be kind of grueling to get through and sometimes not the easiest to understand, and yeah, they're just not my favorite. So I'm appreciating that in this book it's not all about the war. There's definitely other aspects. We're also getting really great character development, like with Amren's character, who she's in the inner circle. We've gotten more insight into what exactly she is and how she came to be the person that she is today. We're also getting more character development about Elaine and Nesta, who are Feyre's sisters, especially after what went down at the end of ACOWAR. That was pretty crazy, and so now we're seeing all of the fallout with that. Yeah, I think that's going to be everything for my thoughts right now. Like I said, I'm sorry that these thoughts were a little bit rambly. I just didn't really take any notes this time around when I was reading the last like 200 pages or so, but I'll be sure to kind of organize my thoughts better when I do my next update. I might do one tomorrow at some point. I'm not really sure. I'm also not really sure when I'm gonna finish this book exactly, because the pace I've been going at, I mean, I could potentially like almost finish the book today. I'm not really sure, so we will just have to see. All right, so it is Saturday afternoon and I just finished A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas, and I feel like this is not a very good reading vlog because I don't really have a ton of thoughts or opinions about this book. I am giving it 5 stars. I actually enjoyed it probably just as much as A Court of Mist and Fury. I thought the whole time that the pacing was really well done. I wish that she could have like used this pacing in Kingdom of Ash, which is the last book in the Throne of Glass series, because I was very frustrated with the pacing, and not only that book, but a couple of the other books in that series. So I wish that Sarah J. Maas was just more consistent with pacing her books well, I guess. As usual, Sarah J. Maas is the queen of actually really good plot twists, and she's also the queen of like surprise arrivals. Like just when it seems like all hope is lost for all of the characters, there's always like another character that shows up, or like a surprise army or something like that. Like that happens a lot in Throne of Glass, and so anytime that happened in this book, I was just like, oh, Sarah. And then I did want to quickly discuss Lucien and Tamlin for a little bit. So Lucien, I think I'm a little disappointed in how she like ended his character arc, because in this book, I want to say maybe in the first half of the book, Lucien goes off to the continent to try to get help. And I was waiting literally the entire time that the final battle scene was going on. I was literally waiting for Lucien to just show up with a massive army and have this like epic kind of end to his character arc. And it was kind of weird because I don't want to spoil exactly what happened, but essentially like another character showed up with like an epic army, and that other character was like, oh yeah, and here's Lucien, he's back. And I was just like, what? Like, I just wanted more for Lucien's character. I feel like Sarah J. Maas just kind of let his character fall to the wayside, and I just kind of wanted better for him. Yes, he's not a perfect character, but I think he did a lot in this book for redeeming himself. And then in terms of Tamlin, I'm a little conflicted about Tamlin, because at the end of ACOWAR, I was very set in my thinking of, well, Tamlin's just trash. He is the worst. And throughout most of this book, Tamlin is still the worst. Like, there's that iconic scene where all of the High Lords are meeting to discuss strategy for this war, you know, what to do about Hybern and everything. And Tamlin shows up late, which is surprising that he showed up at all, but then, like, it's very yikes because he starts like essentially throwing jabs at both Rhys and Feyre because Feyre left him to be with Rhys. And it's just a very yikes situation. But then at the very end, he does some really pretty awesome things, in my opinion, that if it wasn't for him, I feel like a couple of the major characters might have died. So yes, he's trash. I know he's capable of being a better person, and I also just kind of wished that his character arc could have ended a little bit more positively. I don't know, because on the one hand, he does tell Feyre, I want you to be happy. You know, he just lets her go, and that's all well and good. But then, like, towards the very, very end of the book, we're seeing that he's still very cold towards, like, Feyre and Rhys. He's still very cold to a lot of the people involved in this situation. I don't know, I just kind of wanted to see a little bit more of a change in terms of his character. Even though, like I said, he does do a couple of really great things to help Feyre and Rhys and the whole gang, but at the same time, I just wanted a little bit more. And as far as my thoughts about the trilogy overall, I still don't think it's as iconic as Throne of Glass. I know a lot of people have very polarizing views about which series they like more, because I do think that they both have very different vibes from one another. I do see similarities in some of the characters between the series, but they do overall have a very different feel to them. And I still just resonate a lot more with the story of Throne of Glass. Now, that might be because there's more books in that series, so I had more time to really emotionally attach to the characters, whereas with this series we only had 3 books, and let's face it, A Court of Thorns and Roses is not a great book. I did give it 4 stars, but it was an okay introduction to the series, but I really feel like the trilogy came into its own in the 2nd book, and then I thought that this 3rd book was a really great end to the series. But because of that, unfortunately, 1/3 of this trilogy is kind of weak, and I do think that I would have maybe stronger feelings about this series overall if that 1st book wasn't so boring and kind of a disappointment. And I am interested to see what Sarah J. Maas does with this story, because we learned, I don't know, I want to say at some point last year it was announced that she was expanding this series, but I don't think that the books are following Feyre and Rhysand. I think the books will be following different characters, maybe Nesta and Cassian or something. Like, I vaguely remember that being a part of the announcement. And I'm not sure when, like, the next book is coming out. So I am interested to see what she does with this world and with these characters, and I'll definitely, you know, pick up that next book. But I'm still treating this as its own series and its own story. Like I said, I have no interest in picking up the novella, which is A Court of Frost and Starlight, because I have heard pretty yikes things about it. Nothing really happens. And so, yeah, I'm just not going to bother with it. All right, guys, that's going to be it for this ACOWAR reading vlog. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I would also love it if you would consider pushing that like button and subscribing, and I thank you in advance if you do. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!